It is a reality that digitization is transforming the automotive industry and is playing a key role in enhancing the productivity, efficiency, and quality across its several functions of operations. For TVS Motor Company, its aggressive growth strategy is being enabled by a robust digital backbone. And to learn more about the company's digital transformation journey, we are here in Bangalore today to talk to its Chief Digital and AI Officer, Mr. Mahesh Calavai, who has been a prime architect in laying the foundations of the company's digital architecture. Mahesh, welcome to the show and thank you for speaking to ETAuto.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Mahesh, your broad thoughts about how digitization is transforming the automotive world right now, and if you can also broadly outline how you've undertaken this journey at TVS Motor Company.
Sure, thank you. It will be great to talk about it. So as a company, we've always believed in technology, right? And that genesis is true, that manifestation is true when it comes to our products, equally in how we've operated as a company, right? So from the get-go, we focused on how we can leverage digital technologies to improve our operations in several regards. We're one of the earliest adopters of ERP systems for 25 years now. We've focused a lot on our manufacturing technologies. So about 4 or 5 years ago, when we looked at how do we redefine ourselves, reimagine ourselves for the next 25, 30 years, digital and AI strategies became an integral part of our growth strategy, right? And therefore, at that time, about 5 years ago, we've created a digital and AI transformation initiative across our company, right? And we were conscious about a few things from the get-go, right? First one is we coined ourselves as digital and AI transformation, because as much as we focused on digitalization, we also understand the importance of data and how we can use data and AI to improve what we are doing. So that's the first conscious stance. Second, as a company, we've always believed in working backwards from what the customer wants. So our first fundamental tenet is how do we improve our customer experience in using the enablers of digital and AI transformation programs, right? Be it, for example, mobile first as an approach, infusing AI in our customer experience. So these are fundamental tenets. Equally, because we work as an extended enterprise, every user is a customer for my team and I, right? So the same ethos of customer experience you have had for all the different types of users or our colleagues in our company and extended enterprise, be it suppliers or dealer partners, distributor partners and the like, right? And as I mentioned, data and AI is a fundamental, we said it will become a first class citizen for us, right? It is not an afterthought. So in the entire digital and AI transformation, we have infused data to get real-time data in terms of transparency of our operations, and then leverage the data to create various forms of AI to improve our several aspects of our business, be it customer experience, be it in the quality of the products that we make, in our efficiency of the operations and the like, right? So these are the fundamental tenets that we have done. So as a cloud-first organization, so that we can deploy the same kinds of technologies for our global operations, given that we have a presence everywhere in the world and we have customers and teams operating everywhere, the same principles apply in all that we do. So it's a quick preview of what we've done.
Right. If I pick one vertical here, Mahesh, and if I come down to manufacturing, so what kind of transformation you've done on the shop floor, and overall, how do you see it further getting evolved in the coming 3 to 5 year time frame?
Sure. Absolutely great question. As I mentioned, right, so we're one of the earliest adopters of ERP systems. So we had a very robust data transparency and digitization already even before we started the digital and AI transformation program. So what we have done is we've really built around it and strengthened it across several dimensions, right? Starting, for example, from sales and operations planning systems, right, which come ahead of the ERP systems, manufacturing execution systems. We collect a lot of data in our manufacturing operations through our track and trace systems, right? To give you an example, we collect about 1,500 data points in our plant, right? And then, of course, when it comes to EV, when it comes to the order of 6,000 different parameters, right? And the way we integrated is the sophistication that we've done, right? Where we work with all the functions as an integral part of that function. So, for example, folks on my team, we are embedded into the manufacturing and supply chain organization, right? So, and as is the technology. So, the data that we get from our track and trace systems, for example, is embedded onto the manufacturing line as a POK-OK system, right? So having been a company that has believed in and has been at the forefront of leveraging TQM practices, we have imbibed that in our digital and AI transformation initiatives. So when we build these technologies where POK systems are possible, we embedded it. For example, we've always empowered our colleagues on the line to stop the line if there is a quality efficiency, right? Now the AI system is doing the same thing, right? Not only does it detect the quality of our operation, if there is a problem, we stop the line, right? We have something like 150 different AI models that are deployed in manufacturing and that focuses on several things. Of course, safety is paramount at first and foremost for us, as is product quality. We focus on then efficiency of our operations. So all of these are embedded into AI. Again, the way we look at this is we don't start from digital first or AI first. We start with what is the purpose of the operation, the workflow there, and then what kind of technologies do we do. As an example, when it comes to our packing operations that we do, right, for our global customers, we use AI, computer vision based AI, in conjunction with several technologies, right? It could be sensors, it could be weighing systems, it could be human in the loop systems. All of them together ensure that we have all the right components for all the customers that we ship from our plants in India globally.
Right. You mentioned that you actually started on this journey in a concerted manner 5 years ago. And TVS has been a legacy player. It's one of the leading two-wheeler manufacturers in India, and having operations globally as well. What kind of cultural shift have you had to undertake when you have started on this digital transformation journey?
Yeah, actually, that way TVS has been at the forefront, right? We have very strong heritage of working backwards from our customer wants, of standing for quality. When I say quality, clearly it's in a product quality, but it's not just our product quality, it's a quality of all our operations, right? So we've had a very, very strong cultural backbone to build on. In a lot of ways, what digital and AI has done is has strengthened it, has accelerated it, right? So I look at this as an augmentation of a strong heritage that we have, right? That said, on the technology side, on the process side, right, and on the people upskilling side, there we've had to work on several aspects of this, right? On technology, clearly as an early investor and leverager of different technologies like the ERP systems, technology has kept pace, right? So we've had a fundamental transformation on the technology landscape on all aspects of our operations, be it those kind of digital and AI technologies that are used for customer experience improvement, on manufacturing that I briefly touched about, how do we have technology to enable our new product development efforts, and in our enterprise operations, right? So be it in finance and HR. And as a group of companies, a lot of things that we do, we extend to all the other group companies as well, right? So that way, technology modernization has been a key aspect. And our approach has been, as a principle of Mark, create microservices that are modular in nature, deploy them on cloud so it can be leveraged across the world, make them headless so the consumer decides how to interact with us, be it on our website or a mobile phone or a phone call, for example. And deploy all of this, connect all of these through API-based structures. That's a fundamental architecture that we have deployed, and we do that with the combination of systems we build and a set of partners that we work with when it comes to commercial off-the-shelf applications. On the process side, a key aspect that we said is technology as an enabler function for us, right? And therefore, when it comes to things like our goal setting, right? The goals that my team and I share are the goals of our business processes, right? Of the business functions. How can we improve our customer experience and net promoter score as an example? Or how do we improve manufacturing OEE as an example? How do we accelerate new product development to the market? So we carry the same goals, right? And so as a shared accountability set, therefore, my teams are fully embedded into our core operational functions. Clearly, for internal operations, we do focus on is code quality and AI effectiveness and the like, but the primary purpose of what we do stands out for us, right? Similarly, process-wise, as a TQM company, we follow plan to check act, right? The PDCA. Deploy something, learn from it quickly, and then scale it. The same approach that we have taken for digital and AI solutions as well, right? While we continue to strive to be at the cutting edge of technology solutions, our focus is on continuous improvement.
Right.
How do we deploy something as a minimum viable product, and then how do we continue to improve it, right?
Right.
And the improvement can come because the technology has shifted. It can also because the user, the customer expectations have shifted, right? So we look at both those engines fueling our subsequent iterations.
Right.
Lastly, on the people side, right? One is of course embedding the teams into the business functions, but equally then upskilling our teams continually, right? And the upskilling, we look at this from three dimensions, right? So clearly from a digital and AI standpoint, my team a producer community, right? Producers of technology.
Right.
And so that's an aspect where we continually ask our teams to be at the cutting edge, provide training programs, but also encourage our teams to explore a lot of what is the latest and greatest out there when it comes to technology. And I'm proud to say that we're always at the bleeding edge of technology innovations, right?
Right.
The latest AI models, the frontier models are used effectively. For example, we have close to 100 models that we leverage on customer experience. All of them use the frontier models of today, right? And be it large language models, small language models provided by all the big players out there, we work with all of them, right? Another aspect of upskilling our people is the large colleague set that we work with, right? How do we embrace digital and AI technologies in what we do, right? So again, one advantage of having a very strong culture to build on is across the board, our company colleagues in all functions are not technology averse, right? So we are embracers of technology. So we built on it to have very focused training sessions for our colleagues, including extended enterprise partners, right? So we provide software for our dealer partners as an example. So whenever we launch releases, we have training programs for our dealer partners, and we have separate teams that take care of that as well, right? Lastly, there is an interwoven part which is prosumers, right? So colleagues in business functions who are also producers of technology, and that is where technology such as Agentic AI is going to push us in the future, and we are bracing ourselves for this.
Right. What are the possibilities or potential of agentic AI, like you mentioned, that you see coming in the future, in the coming years, in the overall people function of the organization? I mean, how do you see people embracing these technologies? Maybe they could be, your part of your regular business functions in their day-to-day lives going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll give you 2-3 examples of how we bring this to life, right? At this point, the way we have deployed agentic AI technologies or generative AI technologies at large is through a lot of human-in-the-loop systems and recommender systems, right? Because technology all sudden is not there for 100% precision yet, right? So we have a class of recommender systems, right? So some recommender systems work with our colleagues in with the dealer partner staff, right? The dealer sales executives, dealer service executives. How can they do their function better?
Right.
It's a class of recommender systems for it. There's a class of recommendation systems for a new product development colleagues, right? On if they want to understand a specific thing about some colleague that may have developed another product, we have another conversational AI interface for that, right? Similarly, all of us as colleagues here, if I have a question about my leave balance or HR policy, we have another conversational AI product for that. So we have a class of products like that, right? Another class of products take this one step further, right? In terms of embedding into the business function. I'll give an example, right? So we have colleagues that take care of our operational lines. For us to know that the next 1 hour, the next 2 hours, our operational continuity will be maintained. They'll have questions on things that are coming from our own factory, but also coming from our suppliers. So we have another agentic AI kind of systems there that predict what will happen and also give them nudges in terms of what they ought to be doing, right, to keep the line moving. So that's another class of systems that we have. Of course, as technology gets better and better, we will come to a place where the human in the loop systems will take a lot stronger agentic AI actions, but we're waiting for the technologies to mature for us to embrace.
Right. And Mahesh, you mentioned that you are obviously deploying this horizontally within the TVS fraternity, the TVS group companies. Is there also effort in terms of hand-holding some of your suppliers towards adopting these digital technologies?
Absolutely. So if we talk about our company, right, so our group of companies, we're in several industries. Some, of course, are regulated industries, and some are not regulated industries. So we do a few set of things together, right? For example, our digital defense strategies when it comes to cyber security or data privacy, creating a common cloud and data center infrastructure for all our group companies to leverage, right? So those are certain things that we do across a group company, so we can all leverage from each other's strengths. The same ethos is what we have taken when it comes to working with our extended enterprise partners, right? So internationally, for example, we work with distributors, right? So we have systems that interface with us and our distributor systems.
Right.
Similarly, our dealership system, right? If you take in India, we have 4,400 dealer partners that we work with, and we provide the dealer systems, be it on the sales side or on the service side,
Right.
or on the parts ordering side,
Right.
right? Same thing happens on the supplier side, right? So across the extended enterprise, we have the same ethos of working, right? So where sometimes we provide the system, sometimes we also interact with systems that they already have.
Right.
Because what is primacy is data transparency that is provided by data connectivity.
Right.
That's our branch focus.
Right, right. And on the technology development front, Mahesh, so you said that internally you have your teams which are developing these technologies to be deployed in the TVS ecosystem. Are you also then engaging with some startups who are doing some cutting edge work in the area of digital technologies outside in the market?
Several. So we again, our primary goal is to make sure our customer experience is solved for, right? We are one set of capabilities towards that, right? Equally, the world is innovating, right? And so we work with all the innovators out there. All the big tech companies are partners for us across the board. The cloud SaaS partners, again, the cutting edge partners, are folks that we work with.
Right.
Equally cutting edge startup companies, right? And so their size honestly doesn't matter to us. What we look for is, for this particular business problem, what kind of innovation set do we bring to bear, right? And oftentimes it's a combination of a big tech partner like a cloud provider, on top of which a startup partner has innovated, and then we work with them to make sure that the specific solution works for us.
And if we look at the on-ground product side right now, you're seeing a lot of penetration of electric vehicles coming into the market, and two-wheeler category, is the driving force in that particular segment. With EVs becoming, slowly becoming mainstream, and they're all connected vehicles, a lot of data flowing back to the cloud. How do you see the overall customer experience enhancing with this kind of a shift happening in the industry right now?
Yeah, great question. I think we launched our EV about the time I joined the company, about 7 years ago now, right? And iQube has been a strong player,
Yes.
right? Again, proud and happy and thankful to our customers for choosing us as a strong number one partner and a player now in the EV market. And the way we look at this is the customer is going to choose, right, as to what their right mobility solution is, and we'll be there across a broad spectrum, of course, when it comes to transmission type, but also different passenger types, be it scooter, motorcycle, and the like, right? The EV has fundamentally transformed a lot of things for us internally. As I told you on the manufacturing side, while we had a track and trace system, right, which is already capturing about 1500 parameters, now it is up to 6000 parameters, right? EV also provides us the most advanced connectivity option out
Right.
there, right? So we probably have the largest connectivity fleet in terms of vehicles on the road in India right now, right? And we get something like a terabyte of data, right? Up to 500 parameters that we capture from every vehicle, and they are coming at us at every 5-second interval, right?
Right.
So we have now a world-class system that takes all of this information, ingests this at scale, understands this, and then is able to cater to variety of different stakeholders. Of course, the primary stakeholder is a customer,
Right.
for them to understand how their ride experience has been, what they can be doing better in terms of their ride experience, but also for our service technicians, right? Also for our new product development, right? Also to understand our product quality. So therefore, it has pushed the frontier, and happy that we're able to take the learnings from that and then deploy that to our internal combustion engines vehicles as well.
Right, right. And cloud plays a fundamental role when you're talking about an entire digital transformation across the organization. So your learnings in making that shift from legacy systems to cloud, and what can the industry learn from what TVS has already experienced on that front?
Absolutely. A great question. Again, we've run our data center, and we continue to run our data center as well. But one of the pillars of our digital and AI transformation was a cloud-first adoption, right? So now, fast forward the 4 or 5 years now, we have a cloud presence across 10 different geographical footprints because we do have a global business, as I mentioned. And we work with all the big tech cloud providers. And because our companies in financial services, well, you can say big four cloud providers globally. So we have partners with them. We have very good partners across the spectrum, right? And we work with them in several ways.
Right.
Clearly, the cloud backbone is one big base that we work with them. It ensures that the same kind of technology applications that we put in place for our customers in India, for our dealer partners in India, are available outside India in all the various geographies as well.
So Mahesh, another thing is, cloud is actually the foundation when it comes to digital transformation. So what can the industry learn from TVS's experience of, you making the shift from a very legacy kind of an operation to now a cloud-first organization?
Great question, right? So we've run a data center for several years. We continue to run a data center. That said, as we started our digital and AI transformation 5 years ago, cloud was one of the fundamental tenets, right? How do we become a cloud-first organization? And in that regard, if you fast forward for 5 years now, we have a cloud presence globally in 10 different geographies, and we are partners with all the 3 big tech cloud providers. And since we have a company in financial services as well, including them as a group across 4 different cloud partners, the biggest partners globally. And we work with them on several regards, right? One is, of course, the underlying ability to have compute and storage available globally, and this becomes fundamental for us because as we roll out a new technology for our customers, same technology is rolled out for customers in India as they are rolled out for customers in Africa, right? When we roll out something for our dealer partners, let's say a recommender system for in a dealership system, that is available for our dealer partners in India as they are available for our dealer partners in Latin America, right? So it gives us an ability to scale solutions while maintaining things like data privacy, data localization, the latency of our digital applications, which is what geographical proximity allows in the cloud, right? The other piece that we are able to get from working with cloud partners is building on top of their innovations, leveraging the latest chipset, leveraging their latest algorithm, which when you run your own data center, right, you have capex cycles, and it prevents us from moving us as fast as we are able to do now. And of course, now the latest one is Gen AI based implementations. So now again, working through cloud partners allows us to pick the right Gen AI model, the right LLM frontier model, without having to worry about the plumbing infrastructure that needs to make it go alive, right? So there have been several advantages for us as we moved towards a cloud-first approach.
Right. And also another topic, Mahesh, is, how do you, embed companies that, you would acquire? Like for instance, the recent one, Norton. So how do you go about, incorporating these acquisitions and bringing those companies and embed them fundamentally, inherently into the TVS operations?
Yeah. We do it in several ways, right? So again, we have companies in the group that are in several industries. We have companies in automotive, mobility segment. We also have companies in financial services and residential real estate and the like, right? So the way we look at our teams, the way we are structured is we have a core set of things that we do consistently across the group of functions, right? Irrespective of the industry that we are in, right? Things like data privacy is an example. In India, we have DPDPA coming up as far as implementation. That is something, for example, we run as a group of companies, right? Across the group consistently. Then there are certain things which are very industry specific, right? So whether it is TVS Motor or Norton, our manufacturing processes, technologies, the way we measure our effectiveness in manufacturing, how we look at product quality, that will be consistent, right? Similarly, when it comes to our HR operations, right? Every employee in a group company will have questions on how, hey, where is my leave balance or what this policy is, right? So that conversational interface will be something that is consistent across a group of companies. So there are some industry-wide stuff that we do across a group of companies that are consistent. And lastly, it will be very, very bespoke, right? That is not necessarily as much as a company as it's about an individual function, right? Manufacturing is a different function which has a different need than sales as a function, right? That is very, very closer to the action, and that's where the embedded teams come into play. Right? But underpinning all of this is culture, right? So across the group of companies, we leverage TQM as a way of life, continuous improvement as a way of life, customer back innovation as a way of life. So that's a larger integration effort, and then we piggyback on that to make the digital and AI stuff that we do work.
Lastly, Mahesh, to end this conversation, we are seeing some of these bigger disruptions right now. We are seeing geopolitical tensions, and that are creating, immediate impact on your production, on your manufacturing lines, supply chains are being restricted and those kind of things. What role do you see technology playing going forward and shaping the entire automotive ecosystem and in making it more resilient, more agile, more flexible in the future?
Yeah, clearly, the world is changing as we speak, right? So the pestle risks are becoming higher uh, from a very open globalization, right? There's a lot of frictions that are coming into place, and it looks like it's going to be the norm for several years to come, right? So, but honestly, the way we look at technology is there are a lot of positives that come with that as well, and we try to leverage that a lot, right? Now, specifically when it comes to technologies of today, right? In the work today, right? And I'll talk about how that will become a strength for us as we look at the geopolitical situations changing, right? If you look at something like Agentic AI, right? So once we perfect a recommender system or an autonomous Agentic AI agent, then we can deploy this at scale, right? So therefore, the same operations can be done out of India as it can be done out of Indonesia for us, right? So that way it becomes a scalable solution. Similarly, when you look at something like blockchain, right? A key aspect of what we're talking about is what is the, from an ESG standpoint, carbon footprint standpoint, data immutability standpoint, a technology blockchain can be easily leveraged for it. So we have an immutable data source which can be trusted by somebody. It can be government A in one country, it can be government B in another country, right? So that way it's again make sure the technology works with the nuances that every localization will require. Some examples there. Fast forward a little bit, right? So again, the same technologies and futuristic technologies will make us even stronger, right? Same Gen AI as an example, right? We're very early stages right now, but will fundamentally transform material sciences. Material sciences of all types, right? And of course, as a user of several pieces of nature, as an industry, automotive industry is also going to benefit, as well as for say, pharma industry, right? Or fertilizer industry. Everybody is going to benefit equally there. Another one is as AI develops, right? The compute right now is largely centralized. How do we make the action closer to the edge, right? Which will take care of the geopolitical tensions. So some advances are happening, a lot of advances on the technology side, for example, are happening on edge compute. And several companies are specializing in automotive chips, right? So that's something that we can leverage going forward. Another frontier is neuromorphic chips, right? Which is mimicking how our brain operates, so that the algorithm is alive and active, but really kicks into top gear only when an event happens, right? So event-driven systems have been the norm for digital systems for a while. That will become a future for AI-driven norms. So imagine a world where there's a localized action. It could be a vehicle, it could be a manufacturing plant, it could be a supplier in a different country, but the same sophistication that we are able to deploy via centralized cloud infrastructure today can be decentralized and actualized in an edge situation, right? And it is even in a normal situation that will be beautiful because there is no latency, it is very localized, it takes care of data privacy. But in a geopolitical situation, the operational continuity, the customer experience is still maintained and thriving, right? So that's how technology can be a big boon as we look at a changing world.
Just to sum up and add, another question, Mahesh, what's your vision for TVS for transforming the business, with your digital tools 5 years down the line?
Yeah, see, as a company, we've said that our goal is to be a strong player for our global customers to transform their mobility experiences, right, with thrilling, responsible, safe mobility solutions. And as a function in a company, we are enablers of that, right? So one, directly to the customers in terms of providing superior customer experiences when they interact with us. They will choose which platform they will interact with us on, which time of the day, which geography they interact with us from. How do we have a compelling user experience that is personalized to that particular user, right, consumer. Similarly, having the same ethos for all the users of our digital systems, right? It could be a colleagues in manufacturing, it could be a colleague in finance, it could be a colleague in new product development, or a partner, dealer partner, or a supplier partner, right? How do we bring the same ethos? That's another piece that we will enable. Then also pushing the company, right, in terms of technology adoption, right? So digital and AI skills in particular, right, are transforming now, right? 2 years from now is going to be a very different world than we are in today. So how do we stay abreast of our technology rewrite a lot of rules that have been there for a long time. That's also going to be another imperative for my team. But ultimately, all of them will be in the culture of working back from a customer wants, being very close to the customer needs, and ensuring that we look at continuous improvement as a way of life, right?
Right.
That bedrock is not going to change, right?
Right.
The mechanics of how we go about it will certainly change, and we are geared for the challenge.
Right. On that note, wish you all the best,
No,
Mahesh.
thank you so
And
much.
thank you for the insightful conversation.